Everybody, I'm Victoria Weather Meteorologist Ryan Henning, and I am here to give you a forecast for Cleveland, Ohio. Excuse the dog barking in the background. He's just really excited for a forecast for Cleveland. First, let's look at the old map just so we can familiarize ourselves with the Cleveland area. Of course, here is the city that they so cruelly called the Mistake by the Lake. That lake is Lake Erie, southwest of all the Great Lakes. The Appalachians right here are actually going to come into play for our forecast for this weekend in Cleveland. So just an FYI, you know where they're at now. First, we'll want to take a look at the radar. You can see it's a little active, not super terrible up in Cleveland. Most of Ohio is seeing some sort of activity. You'll note that it's mostly light rain showers up in Ohio, northwestern Ohio, with some isolated thunderstorms from Weirton to New Philadelphia down towards Mount Vernon and Coshocton, I think that is. And that actually makes a lot of sense because there is an area of weak low pressure, and it's going to show up really nicely in our surface obs, which we're going to look at right now. Let it zoom in and get a little better focus there. There's that one's actually Cleveland. It's 80 degrees, mostly cloudy, but what I want you to look at are these wind barbs, which are turning, because there is a weak area of low pressure. So there's a cold front through southeastern Ohio in the New Philadelphia area, down to Coshocton, and those type of sites, just like it looked like. And then back behind it, up towards Toledo and Findlay and all those cities, that's where we've got the backside where we just have some light precip falling. That's what makes sense. Excuse me while I fish out my mouse over here. So we'll look at the surface forecast. There is a little bit of low pressure showing up on the NAM here, but it's extending from down by Cincinnati towards southeastern Missouri. And what we're seeing is kind of like the nose of it and everything wrapping around that. So this isn't necessarily wrong. It just looks maybe a little different than what we would expect by looking at the surface obs. And we're getting that because there's a weak trough of low pressure over the northern plains. You can see it running through Iowa, that curve, this black line here, and that's just kind of the directionality of the flow, or what's called the tropopause height. That's how high up that reaches. So here's the strongest area of the jet. So you can see it's not a very powerful jet structure, but it is going to shift off to the east. And what's important about the weaker jet structure is that it's not going to pull in a lot of cold air behind it. So you can already see this area of low pressure, backside of the hot ridge, is already building into the northern plains behind the system. There's no cold air to force out all this moisture. And it's actually getting trapped behind those Appalachians, which I was talking about earlier, how they're going to come into play. And that's how they're going to keep all the low-level moisture that's going to be hanging out in the Cleveland area tonight in the area through tomorrow. Most of the rain they're going to see is going to be tonight with the back end of the actual stronger area of low pressure, but it's going to be cloudy, overcast, kind of dreary for the next couple of days. I don't think Sunday is going to be a super damp day. Just a little bit of light drizzle and, overcast in general. Today's going to be the rainier day, but this weekend, it's not going to be anything like the last couple of weekends. So if we look at the temperature forecast plots, we can kind of see how that bears out. We can see tomorrow the GFS actually spikes the temperatures a little bit more than the GFS, and the National Weather Service is actually much cooler even. But even so, it's still in the 80s, temperatures down in the upper 60s. And a lot of that has to do with all the overcast in the area. It's not going to radiate out, and that makes sense. But behind the system, all the models generally bring it down a little bit, especially that NAM. And actually, if you look at it, GFS keeps it pretty consistent I got those backwards. The GFS actually cools it down, and the NAM keeps it warmer. I'm inclined to go with what the GFS is saying. This bright green line is the short-range model, and so that refreshes more regularly, and that kind of initiated the way that the GFS runs ran. and I'm kind of inclined to go with that. All right, I just want to make sure you could see it. Um, so I think that's what I'm going to go with, is that blue line. I'm going to go higher than what the Weather Service had. I think 85 is probably optimistic. That's about what they got to today. So I think maybe 81 or 82, which is a little bit warmer than the 80 that the Weather Service has. That sounds a bit more reasonable. And then probably even cooler than what they've got on Sunday, and bring that temperature for a high, maybe up into the mid to upper 70s. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 60s. It's still going to be a little damp. Like I said, you're not going to get the cold, dry air to clear everything out, and that's why it's going to be cloudy and kind of gross. But yeah, I wish I had better news for you, Cleveland. It never seems to be good unless you're talking about their basketball team. But I am Victoria Weather Meteorologist Ryan Henning. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.